Leroy June Washington was what the old folks in Atlanta called a hard case. He was 54, grey in the beard, and still getting picked up by the cops for everything from public drunkenness to fighting in church parking lots. Folks said trouble followed him like a shadow, but really, June chased it like it was the last drink in the bottle. Every corner store clerk in southwest Atlanta knew June by name. Not because they liked him, but because he'd stagger in every other day with just enough change for a pint of something cheap and mean. His face stayed bruised, either from falling or fighting, nobody ever knew which. His mama, Miss Loretta Washington, was the only person who still held out hope for him. A retired nurse with silver hair and a spine of steel, she prayed loud, cried quiet, and kept a photo of him in her Bible. June, she'd say, sitting on the porch with a glass of sweet tea and sadness in her eyes. You gonna end up in jail for good or in the ground? Ain't you tired yet, baby? But June wasn't tired. He was numb. Then came the fire. One night, high on liquor and pride, June got into it with a man outside a juke joint. Words turned to fists, and fists turned to a car chase. June, half blind and full of rage, drove straight into a utility pole. He survived with a busted shoulder, but the crash knocked out power to 3 blocks. It made the news. Again. Miss Loretta showed up to the hospital with tears streaming down her face. She leaned over him and whispered, "This the last time, June. I'm done begging. You want to die, do it on your own time. But I won't watch you anymore." That was the last conversation they had. 2 weeks later, Miss Loretta passed away in her sleep. Stroke, the doctor said. Broken heart, the neighbors murmured. At her funeral, June stood at the back of Mount Bethel Baptist with bloodshot eyes and a flask in his jacket. But when they opened that casket and he saw his mama lying there in her Sunday best, he collapsed. Right there in front of God and everybody. After that, something shifted. He tried to drink like usual that night, but the liquor tasted like ashes. He tried to fight a man at a gas station, but his hands trembled. That's when he ended up walking into a storefront church off Boulevard Avenue at midnight. Inside was Pastor Deshaun Briggs, a former hustler turned preacher with tattoos on his knuckles and fire in his sermon. June sat in the back pew, eyes glassy. "You lost?" the pastor asked. "Don't know," June said, "but I think I'm done dying." That was the start. Over the next year, June worked the church janitor job Pastor Briggs gave him. He got sober, started reading the Bible his mama left behind, her handwriting all in the margins. But the devil don't like to lose. One day, June's old crew came back around. Rico, his drinking buddy from way back, showed up bleeding and begging for help. He'd stolen from the wrong dealer. June gave him a place to stay at the church basement. Next night, police raided it. Guns, drugs. Rico had brought hell through the back door. June got cuffed again. In jail, he didn't cry, he prayed. And when Pastor Briggs showed up with a lawyer, June almost didn't believe it. Charges dropped. Rico confessed everything. That Sunday, June walked into Mount Bethel Baptist, clean, sober, and free. He gave his testimony, voice cracking as he told the congregation how he lost everything but found grace. He even quoted something his mama used to say, "God don't need you perfect. He just needs you willing." And folks started calling him by his real name again, Leroy. No more June, that man was dead and gone. But if you ever drive down Boulevard Avenue late at night, you might see Leroy sweeping the church steps, humming old gospel songs. And if you ask him what changed, he'll look you dead in the eye and say, "My mama prayed me out the fire. I just had to walk through the smoke."